Hello everyone. I published this earlier today, and I already got a lot of feedback on this. And one of the biggest pieces of advice I got, or biggest pieces of criticism I got, was the line work itself. Not necessarily the shape, if there are some things that could change with the shape. It's mostly how I did the lines. As you can see, I did them in like streaks, where I just kept doing lines like this over and over and over and over. And people say that's not a great habit to be in. I don't know if I fully understand why, but I think it's mostly due to the fact that it takes a lot of time to draw like that, for one. And two, it's generally easier to get clean curves if you do a single streak, if you have practice in it. Obviously, I'm not good at that right now. If I try to do that, I'm not going to be very good at it. Try to draw circles, trying to do like even circles, it's not very easy to do. And not only that, I can't be consistent with my sizes of the circle either. It's hard. And even now, I have smooth stroke on over here, but, you know, that can only help out so much, right? Because, like, the smooth stroke basically just averages out your movements over a period of time. It kind of makes the pen lag behind where you are, though, as you can see. I finished off here, but the pen didn't complete the line, so I guess it still needs some adjustment. Like, this is kind of tough. And the next piece of advice I got was actually something I knew about already, which was the fact that the things in the shade should be more saturated generally, with more color. And that's a concept I'm already familiar with when working in 3D in like filmic color space. When things get brighter in real life, or in filmic in Blender, colors get less saturated. And as things get darker, they get more saturated. But, you know, they also get less obviously bright because they're darker and all that. But generally, you want it to be more saturated with color and not just gray. Because, like, I did the shading with gray color. And when I first did this, I figured I could probably figure out some way to get the layering to contribute to the darkness just using the gray color by increasing the saturation and lowering the darkness at the same time. If you get what I mean. So, like, the parts I shaded in gray, if I were to increase the opacity here, like this is the raw color without any transparency added to it. As you can see, it's literally just gray. And I figured maybe there's a way I could have that contribute to increasing the saturation to the color underneath. And I think I figured out a decent way to do that, which is through duplicating the shading layer and setting that layer to burn. So we have the main shading set to multiply and the duplicate layer below set to burn right here. And we enable that, and we get increased saturation in the shading here. And I also did it for the hair shading as well, as you can see. So yeah, that's, again, the concept I'm already familiar with. I know why it's supposed to be like this. I just wasn't familiar enough with how to set up my layers with GIMP to get this effect pulled off. And I don't even know if this is the right way to do it, but it looks pretty good. So I think this is probably the right way to go, unless I fall into some other issues later. In fact, I think I can increase the saturation by bringing the opacity, yeah. Yeah, okay. Let me turn this all the way up, actually. Yeah. I imagine this has problems, because color burn is like a weird blend option. I'm still not even completely familiar with it, but it looks pretty good with this, at least, with simple drawing with simple shading. And the main reason I can't just use color burn on its own is because color burn doesn't actually like darken things, it just changes saturation, I think. Anyway, in the future, I'll probably just pick from the color wheel like a darker, more saturated color of pink. I'm not sure if I'd be changing the hue or not, depending on, like, I guess it'll probably depend on, like, the ambient light I want. Like, the ambient light color, like, if it's outside in the sky, it's probably gonna be blue. Well, anyway, another thing that I was told about, which I kind of noticed, but I wasn't really sure if it was a problem or not, was the fact that my drawing is a bit skewed like this. Like, this would be straight, and my drawing is a bit skewed like this. Slightly, but ever so slightly. So like, if I try to quickly adjust this, I'll probably mess up the layers a little bit, but like if I were to just select the head area, yeah, something like that. This should only be moving like the outlines of the body itself, not the hair. And if I skew it, I believe I can just skew it like, let's see, how would I do this? Like this, I guess? And I exit out. Obviously, if you just ignore the color for a bit here and just focus on the normal color, Yeah, now it's more round. The main reason I had the shape like that before was because I wanted the head to look slightly turned to her right. So or left, her right. So I wanted there to be a bit more cheek here and less of it here. I guess it ended up making the drawing look skewed. I think it's mostly because the line was too straight around here. But anyway, that was another issue that was brought up. So yeah, I think the main thing I want to practice is getting better at drawing lines in single strokes, instead of doing the chicken scratch thing. Not to say I can't do that when I need to, it's just I can't rely on that to be part of the final image. So like if I wanted to keep what I made here but just make it cleaner, I'll bring down the opacity of this and essentially do like an ink over of this. And you would do that final inking on its own layer with single streaks. Ideally, why did it not change to black? I thought I did. And that'll be kind of hard to do. I'm trying to deal with the friction with my hand on the tablet screen itself. There's a bit of friction, so it's kind of hard to keep this smooth, to be honest. Friction. Like, I'm trying to overcome friction, and once I do, I start sliding like crazy. And this goes all out of whack. Isn't physics fun? Oh, stop. Damn it. Friction is the worst right now. Like, that's the main problem with trying to do this. Like, trying to overcome friction. And that's how I normally write, is rest my hand on whatever I'm drawing on, or writing on. Is that something I shouldn't be doing? Because I don't feel comfortable if this tip isn't, like, close to my fingers. If it's too far away, I just feel so uncomfortable. I can't keep it steady. Like, it's essential to keeping my fingers from going wild. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know what to do about this, actually. Like, I want to keep it nice and curvy, but when I have to overcome friction, I don't know what to do about it. It just messes up my lines. I just get stuck, and it gets all uneven. You know, this is probably... You know what? Here's a thought. Would this be better if I just did vectors for this or something? I'd do chicken scratch, and then find a way to do some sort of vectoring over this. Because I can't do it. Like, I'm trying on the same exact damn eyelash for the last 15 minutes, and I can't get it. I can't get the right pressure size of the eyelash right. And even if I do, the line itself is off. I can't do it. I'm just not good enough. And I can't overcome this friction issue I'm having with my hand and the surface of this thing. Because I'll let you know, that's probably been the most frustrated I've been in a while with myself. Like, I just kept going over and over and over on this thing, and I can't do it. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably the main thing I should consider doing then, because I don't think I can overcome this issue. Literally my whole life, I've always had my hand rested on the paper and my pen close to my fingers like this. But I guess there's just too much friction for me to get large curved lines going. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know. I guess I'll still practice trying to do curves and all, but I think the vectoring approach will probably be the way I have to do it. I just have to figure out how to do it. I don't know if GIMP has a way of doing that, or if there's, I know Inkscape would probably have it. I'm pretty sure that's what it's for, vectored Inkscape. But I do want to try to avoid using a ton of different software for stuff like this. I want to try to keep it all in one place. I mean, heck, I could probably do vectoring in Blender, quite honestly, with curves. Probably wouldn't be the most intuitive thing in the world, but it's possible. I could probably figure it out easier than learn a new piece of software. I don't know, that's actually an interesting thought. Maybe I could just vector in Blender. Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Let's give it a shot. Let's save this image. Let's bring it into Blender and give this a shot. Maybe I should bring the hair as well. Yeah. Mains included. Okay, now let's go ahead and import the image. So here's what I think I should do here. You need a curve. Let's start with the eyelash, because that's what I was having trouble with. Let's make sure that's on the origin, just keep things simple. Place the curve where I need it. Now, I need to bevel this. So I need a bevel curve, which will be... like, circle will be fine. Circle bevel, that's just fine. I don't need anything more than a circle. What's more important is the taper object I'm using. So I'll need another path. Let me get rid of these ends here. Just do something like this. Or, oh, no. Just keep them. More like that. Yeah. None, please. Thank you. Alright, now, let's configure this curve to use those two. We need geometry, taper to be that path, bevel to be the circle. Okay, now I need to tune this. First, we actually need these to be up a little bit so they're not going to 0. I want it to be more like that. Yeah. And then bring these down until they fit where I need it. Okay. Yeah, there you go. That's more like it. Look at that. Nine quarters. Nice clean curve. All thanks to Blender. Who needs other software? Blender can do everything. Now, obviously, all I need to do is shape this without any shading. Because obviously I don't want this to look like a 3D circular tube. Like, shade it flat, and we're good. So let me just actually do that right now. Configure material for that. Here's all you need to do, by the way. If you just want to shade something without any shading, but don't have to worry about compositing or anything, just bring in a color inputs for RGB, and just make it any color you want, and put it to surface. And there you go. You want to make sure look dev is enabled so that you can see what you're doing to the material. But yeah, there we go. Just like that. I will want more subdivisions. It's looking a little jagged here. Now, I think I want to do one more thing to the taper object, and it's, let me set the cursor to origin here. Or I could probably just zero that out. Yeah, okay. So let's move this out by 0.1. Same on the other side. And then we set these to 0. Let me scale them in so that these actually look like close tips. Might need more resolution there though. Now I might as well duplicate what I have here and just mirror it, and then align it with what I have drawn out. Okay, so I wasn't talking basically that entire time because I just was completely honed in. I knew what I was doing. Because it's Blender, of course. I've been using Blender for ages. So I managed to get a vector done in Blender, which you don't really think of Blender as a vectoring program, but it can be used as one if you use it the right way. Like if you know your way around how curves work in Blender, you can do it. Like this is still in 3D space, as you can see. Because that's how Blender works, it's all in 3D space, unless you're like in the compositor or something. But it does make layering quite intuitive to do. You don't have to worry about like layer numbers or orders, you just drag it until it's behind what you want, basically. And then there you go. There's not much more to say about it. I did actually, wait. I did make some changes. I made changes to the head shape. It's to give it less of a flat feeling, and to make it feel more like a real head, I guess. A real cartoony head. Does that sentence even make any sense? I don't know. I flattened this part of the head out, right here on the right side, and I moved it towards the center a little bit. Because I wanted, ever since the start, I actually wanted the head to look like it's tilted slightly to her right. So I figured that would probably be the best way to do that while I was doing the vectoring, is just to make that change right now. And I gave her a little bit of a cheek here. Just a subtle, slight cheek. And on top of that, I grabbed her right eye and I squished it down horizontally a little bit too to make it look like the eye is slightly more behind the head than the left eye. And I didn't want to be too obvious about it, but I wanted it to be there at least a little bit. But other than that, I didn't really make many other actual adjustments other than just adding vectors to what I already drew. So the next step is we're going to be doing the shading again. We're going to completely redo the shading. Okay, so I just exported all of the layers I needed. Let me go through this individually here. So I have the color only layer, so I just hid all the outlines and rendered out just the color fills. And I have that in the back. I have a layer for shading that I have not painted on yet. I have an outline layer that goes on top, and I also have the eye shines that go on top of the outlines. I suppose I should probably include the pupils in color, shouldn't I? Okay, now I think I'm ready to go. Okay, review again. I have the color layer with the lashes and pupil, shading, the outline layer, and the eye shines. Painting on the shading layer here. Let me go ahead and get the eyedropper so I can get some colors. You'll want a darker color. Get HSV, please, thank you. So we want dark, but we also want to increase that saturation. I think I want to push a little bit like that. See how that looks. Increase the size quite a bit, because since this is a vector render, it's quite high resolution. I'm starting to think I should probably have the lashes on top, huh? Well, I can change that in a minute. I want to get this on a roll here. Okay, I think I'm done. I don't think I have anything else to do right now. The main thing I still know that I need to improve on is shading. Because I can only do 2 levels of shading right now, and I don't really feel confident in doing more at the moment, so I can only do shadow and light, and nothing in between, and no specular except for like the eye shines. But yeah, that was pretty good. The feedback was very useful. Like, one of the things I still really would like to learn is how to paint. Not just color in shading, but like actually paint everything. That's something I really would like to learn, but that is really complicated. Lots of colors, lots of color mixing. There's lots of ways to do it. I don't know what I want to do. I don't even know where to start with that. This is probably the best I can do right now with my own knowledge and what I'm confident in doing. Now, other than like shading and painting and all that, I still should try drawing other poses, because this is still the only pose I've drawn so far, and I've just kind of iterated on that. So I still need to draw some more poses of the face, and maybe even the body eventually. And on top of that, I also want to make sure I practice, like, doing line streaks, trying to find a way around this friction issue I have. It's not a fun issue to have, having to deal with friction messing up with how you draw. I don't know. Find a workaround, or get through it somehow, or something. It seems like a pretty important skill to have, is to be able to just draw lines that you want quickly and cleanly, and I can do neither at the moment. But yeah, this was a good round 2. The feedback was amazing. It helped give me some more ideas on what I should be doing. I like the vectoring process I have. I think I'll probably stick to that. Blender's pretty good for it, quite honestly. It was pretty easy, and I knew what to do, because, I know Blender pretty well, and it looks nice. That's an interesting effect, taking away the main color, and you just have the shading. That's interesting. Anyway, with that said, I think I'll see you guys later. Maybe for round 3, or maybe just doing some more drawing for some other things, or some other perspectives of this character. You'll see. We shall see. We shall see.